believe Steve is on.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
There you go.
All right, Dan, all yours.
Appreciate it, Travis. Thanks so much. And welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. It'll be a quick 30 minutes, and I'm going to put my clock up so I don't go beyond that. So we are going to talk Social Security today, just to kind of set the stage. I want to do two things in a quick 30 minutes. I want to make sure first you know about what I'll consider the next steps, the EY financial planning services that are open to all of you, because my main objective is to cover the basics of Social Security, but certainly in 30 minutes, we're not going to solve all of our problems or learn everything there is to know about that program. So we'll cover the basics. My hope is that you discover some questions, some things to consider. We'll certainly take questions while we have time today, but you do have resources after today's session to follow and to continue this conversation. So let's talk about those first, and then we'll get into the basic rules and process of Social Security itself. So as a PBUCC member, you do have full no-cost access to the EY Navigate Financial Education and Planning Program. And that means three things for you. You have unlimited access to talk to an EY financial planner, somebody that talks to PBUCC members every day, understands your benefit plans, the kinds of questions that you might have, and is available to you confidentially to talk comprehensively about financial planning, whatever that may mean to you, whatever concerns or questions or planning you might have on the brain. We're there to help you through that. So all you need to do is give us a call. The number you see on the screen, 877-927-1047, is available Monday through Friday, 9 to 8 Eastern Time. You'll be connected directly with an EY financial planner that you can start a conversation with. What's nice, though, is once you make that first call, you can continue the relationship with that planner that you reach and continue that process. So you may call about asset allocation. We'll help you through that. And it may be time then to look at your retirement plan or managing your money a little bit better, maybe some tax questions. And you now have a relationship with your own EY financial planner that's not going to sell you anything. We don't have anything to sell, and it's paid for by PBUCC. So there's no cost to you. A lot of folks prefer to start the financial planning process on their own. You can do that on the EY Navigate digital website and app. You can download the app on your phone, or you can go to the website pbucc.eynavigate.com. It takes about 2 minutes to register on our site. And then you can access all of our videos, tools, calculators, and other information to do your own financial planning. But if you get as far as you can, or if you get stuck, you can always click a button on the website and be connected directly with an EY planner that way as well. So you can call us, you can request an appointment through the website, or you can do all of this on your own if you're comfortable with the process using the tools there on the EY Navigate digital website. The third part of our program is periodic group learning. We offer a monthly hot topic webinar that's open to all of our clients, including all of you. You'll see information on that communicated to you periodically. You'll also see those published on the EY Navigate website. You can register for those. You can also watch recordings of any of the previous monthly sessions. And then PBUCC offers this monthly Power Up Your Finances series. Today, we're going to talk about Social Security, but there's a new topic every month. I see some names I recognize. Some of you have attended these before. It's great to see you back here again. So watch for the monthly power-ups as well as the monthly EY sessions and other workshops that come your way from time to time. So all of that combined is the EY Navigate Financial Planning resource. Again, no cost to you, unlimited usage. You now have access to your own financial planners and financial planning tools. And a great way to use those may be with some follow-up personal questions about how Social Security impacts your life situation and maybe that of your spouses. So with that, I'm going to hit what I think is the most important slide of any presentation I do, which is the idea of a personal action plan. We only have a quick 30 minutes together. So the real value in any workshop like this is what you do with the information after we're done talking. And in my experience, if you write down those action items that you plan to complete, you're more likely to do those. So grab a piece of paper or the notepad on your phone. And I just ask that you sit back, relax, listen, ask questions if you have those. But please do write down anything you think you need to do financially after we're done here. And it may have to do with Social Security. It may be that you forgot to pay the gas bill or something completely different financially that you realize you need to follow up on. You haven't checked your credit score in a while or anything else. This is a chance to really focus on you and your finances for a bit, and then jot down those action items that you plan to follow up on. Calling the financial planners at EY may be a great first action item as well. So I just want to get that concept out there, make sure you have a personal action plan. And for the rest of our time, we're going to talk through the basic process of Social Security, what you get, when you get it, how you get it. And I'm going to have to use the T word, which is taxes. We'll talk about whether those come into play as well. We'll start with kind of a level set to help you understand the value of this conversation. So is Social Security a valuable benefit to you? What could we expect? We'll talk about how you can get a projection on your own customized benefit, but generally speaking, the average benefit that somebody in their full retirement age receives today in this country is about $1,600 per month. The maximum benefit, somebody that has earned enough over their career to reach that maximum calculation, that maximum normal monthly benefit is $3,345 per month. So if you do the math, even on the average, you're getting close to $20,000 a year from Social Security. It's not really meant to be the only income source to get you through, but it's part of the puzzle, right? So we have other resources from our employer, from our own savings, and now from the government through this program that we pay into, so does our employer, that then returns a benefit when we reach retirement. So it's all kind of combined together to provide that full benefit that you need to have a comfortable and happy retirement. So the real question then becomes, when can I get my hands on that money? When do the dollars start coming in the mailbox? And you have some choices here. At a high level, you actually have 96 choices to pick from, because anywhere between ages 62 and age 70, you can decide any month in that range to say, okay, I'm ready. I've met my life circumstances such that I'm ready to receive my Social Security benefits, and I want those monthly checks to start coming my way, either in the mailbox or more likely now these days, direct deposit. We're going to talk about age 62 and what happens there, as well as age 70. You'll also hear the term full retirement age, which for you is somewhere between ages 65 and 67. It's different for each of you. It's based on the year that you were born. It used to be 65 for all of us. It's crept up a bit as they've changed the rules around Social Security. And all the full retirement age means is that if you choose that month when you have your birthday at your full retirement age to start receiving Social Security, that just happens to be when the calculation returns a full 100% benefit. If I start Social Security before my full age, I'll get more checks over my lifetime because I started to receive them at a younger age, but those checks will be reduced. If I start all the way to age 62, it's a smaller check every month for the rest of my life, but I started years early, so I get more checks. If I wait until age 70, it's actually a bigger check than my full 100% amount. So I get a bonus by waiting, but I have to wait longer to start receiving those checks. So you can see there's a balance here. I can get more of those smaller checks if I start early, or I can wait till a later age and get bigger checks. But again, I won't get as many because I waited longer to get those bigger checks. The only reason that full retirement age matters is that happens to be where that calculation of your check is at 100%, the full amount. So let's look at this in a different way to make sure that that makes sense. But understand again, your big decision here is what month of those 96 months between 62 and 70 is the right month for me to start receiving Social Security benefits. The older I am, the more months I wait, the bigger that check will be once I start receiving it. So let's look at this in more detail. And let's take that first line. For anyone that was born between 1943 and 1954, and that may be some of you on the webcast today, your full retirement age is exactly age 66. Again, all that means is if you start benefits at age 66, when you run the Social Security formula or they run it for you, whatever it kicks out, if it says, hey, you're entitled to $1,800 a month, you'll get $1,800 a month. You'll get that full 100% amount if you start at your full age, in this case, age 66. If you say, hey, look, I don't want my benefits, I don't want to wait that long. I want my benefit as quickly as I can get it and as early as I can get it, which is age 62. If you start your benefits 4 years early in that case, you'll get 75% of that full amount, 75% of the $1,800. You'll get a smaller check, but you'll get those checks for those extra 4 years and for the rest of your life. More checks, but they're all a little bit smaller. If I reach 66 and say, look, I'm doing pretty well, I don't need the money yet, you can delay it. And every year that you delay receiving your benefit, you get an 8% bonus. So if I start my benefit at age 67 instead of 66, that check for life will be 108% of the $1,800. If I wait till I'm 68, it'll be 116%. I get an 8% bump every year that I wait up until age 70. Once I reach age 70, there's no more increase. You might as well take it at age 70 because it's not going to go up anymore. So again, you look at that top line. If that's you, you can get your full amount at 66. You can get 75% of it starting at 62. You can get 132% of it starting at age 70. But you have to wait until you hit the age 70 to get it. Or you can choose any other month in that range. And the percentages are varied and they go up a little bit each month the longer you wait. So find your birth year on this chart. If you're born 1960 or later, your full age is 67. And you can see the reduced amount at 62, the bonus credits you get if you wait longer than that. You start to understand how your decision on what age you are, what month you are, how it affects the benefit that you ultimately receive. So up until now, we're talking about your benefit, your retirement benefit that you've earned by paying into this system, but your spouse is eligible for a benefit as well. Actually, your spouse is eligible for one of two benefits, or it could be a combination of the two benefits. And this is true, by the way, for you. So let's kind of break this down. If I have worked and paid the Social Security tax and paid into the system for at least 10 years, I'm eligible for a Social Security benefit. And that's out there waiting for me. And then as early as age 62, I can raise my hand and say, I'm ready. Send me that check. But it may be that your spouse worked at a job and you worked at the house. You stayed home, took care of the family, took care of the house. It didn't pay into the Social Security system. And the system recognizes that there's value in that. And that while one spouse may have worked at a job and got a paycheck, the other spouse was equally valuable and worked at home. And we're going to provide benefits to both of those individuals because they both supported each other throughout this process. So if you worked and let's say you've earned a $2,000 monthly benefit from paying into the system over your career and your spouse stayed at home, was a stay-at-home parent and spouse, they're eligible for a spousal benefit worth 50% of your benefit. So you'll get a $2,000 monthly benefit. They'll get a $1,000 monthly benefit for the rest of each of your lives. Now, what if they also worked outside the home and they earned their own benefit? Well, they get the better of the two. If the spouse earned $800 on their own, they can get their $800 or they can get half of your benefit, which would be the $1,000. And I guess they'll always choose that $1,000 and that's automatically what they get. They get the bigger of the two. So the same goes for you. You'll get your own benefit or 50% of what your spouse is receiving, whichever's bigger. The only caveat to understand is to get that spousal benefit based on your spouse's work record, the spouse has to start the benefit first, and then you could start receiving that 50% benefit off of their record. So for each individual in the marriage and the couple, you get your own benefit, or you can get half of that spouse's benefit, whichever's bigger. And again, that happens automatically. So we've talked about your benefit. We talked about what a spouse is entitled to, and the benefits don't end there. There's also a survivor benefit available to you. So when one of the spouses passes away, the surviving spouse will continue to receive a benefit. And in the example we just gave, you're each receiving a benefit. It may be your own benefit. It may be 50% of the spouse's benefit. When one spouse passes away, the survivor receives the bigger of the two benefits. They'll either continue receiving their own benefit or they'll bump up to the full amount that the deceased spouse was receiving. So the spouse will get 100% of your benefit, or if their own benefit's bigger, they'll continue to receive that. And you'll notice that in the event of a death, the surviving spouse can actually start receiving benefits a bit earlier. So let's say there's an unexpected death, maybe when you're both in your 50s, the surviving spouse can start receiving a survivor benefit as early as age 60. They may find when they reach their full age, they could switch to their own retirement benefit if they worked and paid into Social Security as well. So once they reach their full age, they can continue to receive the survivor benefit, or if they're entitled to it, if they've earned it, they can receive their own benefits if that's a bigger number. And again, all of that happens automatically by the Social Security Administration. A couple other rules to be aware of, because now we're going to start talking about that decision and what goes into it on when I should start receiving my benefit, what age, what month should I elect. There is a rule that says, look, if you are at your full retirement age or older, and you decide, I'm bored in retirement, I want to go out and get a job, Social Security Administration says, you know what, that's fine. We will still send you your Social Security benefit, and you can work at that job and you can earn a wage and you have double income. But they've also said if you're under your full retirement age, kind of rather you didn't go out and get a job and also start receiving your Social Security benefits early. They view Social Security as a retirement benefit, and they're trying to, I guess, discourage you from taking your benefit early, also working at a job. And the rule you see on the screen is kind of how they manage that and try to discourage that a bit. So let's talk through this. If you are under your full retirement age, which again is between 65 and 67, and you decide to start your Social Security benefits, let's say you started at 62, and then you get an interesting job offer, you decide to go ahead and take a job, you're working at Dunkin' Donuts now, and you earn a salary. As long as you earn less than $19,560, there's no concern. You'll get your salary at Dunkin' Donuts and you'll get your Social Security check. Remember, it's a reduced check because you took it early, but you'll get that full amount. If you earn more than the $19,000 at that job, your Social Security benefit will start to be reduced. So look, you're working, you're making a lot of money now. We're going to reduce your Social Security benefit because you don't need it all right now. Once you reach your full age, we'll give you that money back. But in the meantime, we're going to reduce your Social Security check because you have a job and you're making over this limited amount. So it's something to be aware of if you think you might work and start Social Security between 62 and your full age. The Social Security check for a while may not be all that you expect it to be. You'll eventually get that money back. In the year you turn your full age, the rule's a little bit better. It says, you know what, you can earn up to almost $52,000 at that job, and we won't touch your Social Security check. But if you make more than that, we're going to reduce your Social Security check until you reach your full age. Just be aware that between 62 and your full age, there could be a reduction in your Social Security check if you work at a job where you make too much money. This does not include retirement distributions or other retirement type income. It's just a job or a wage income if the number's too high. But you'll see in that last section, once you've reached your full age, the rule doesn't exist anymore. You can make as much as you want at that job. You can work 7 days a week if you like. You'll still get your full Social Security check with no reductions. It's just the system's way of saying, we really view Social Security as a retirement benefit at your full age or later. You can take it early if you need it, but if you have a really good job and you're between 62 and your full age, you may not need Social Security. We're going to reduce that benefit. We'll give that money back to you later once you reach your full age. Okay, I put it off as long as I can, but I mentioned the T word. Let's talk taxes for a minute. This may be a surprise to you. It may not be a surprise, but you may just not like it. Your Social Security benefit that you receive, those monthly checks that come in the mail, may be subject to income tax. And I'll say what you're thinking. Look, this is a tax that I've been paying all my career into the Social Security system, right? We all pay that FICA tax. So does our employer. So we're contributing to Social Security. We finally reach retirement sometime between 62 and 70. I raise my hand and say, I'm ready. And I start getting checks in the mail. Those checks may be subject to income tax. I say maybe because it depends. It depends on how much other income you have on your tax return. If you have no other income, and maybe your grandma or grandpa was like this, all they had for income was their Social Security check. they did not pay tax on their Social Security benefit. But if they had other income, or if you have other income, like a retirement distribution, maybe you do have a part-time job, you have some rental income, other things that show up on your tax return, if those add up to a certain amount, then part of your Social Security checks must be shown and taxed on that tax return as well. We show you the numbers here on the slide, so let's walk through this. If you're married and your joint income is under $32,000, what you get from Social Security is not taxed. You show it on your tax return, but it's not part of the calculation. There's a place to show how much you got, and then there's a place to say how much of it's taxable, and the answer is 0. But if you have more income, if you have between $32,000 and $44,000 of other income, things like wages, retirement distributions, then up to half of what you get from Social Security is subject to tax, and you put it on your tax return along with everything else. And if your other income is over $44,000, then up to 85% of what you get from Social Security is subject to income tax. So let's say this a different way. Every year now, once you start receiving Social Security, that you do your tax return, there's a little side calculation that you'll have to do. It's in the booklet. Your software that you use will do it for you. And the side calculation says how much other income is on your tax return. You add that up, and then you go to this chart and say, okay, based on that, how much of my Social Security checks do I have to show on my tax return and pay tax on it? So as you can imagine, that answer may be different every year. There may be some years where you don't have a lot of other income and your Social Security benefits aren't taxed. Other years, you take a big distribution from your retirement account, and part of what you get from Social Security will be taxed that year. Again, if you use an accountant, you use tax software, this happens automatically. It's important to know, though, that some, none, or most of your Social Security benefits could be taxed, and that answer changes each and every year as you go through retirement. All right, let's talk about how much you might get. If you've not been there already, make an action item to visit the website ssa.gov. That's the official Social Security website. One, it has all the rules and calculations and formulas and helps you understand how the Social Security system works. It also allows you to register, log in, and see your own personal information. So your benefit is based on replacing an average of your career pay. Specifically, they look at your best 35 years of wages that you've earned at all of your jobs over your entire career. So every year that you work somewhere, from McDonald's to your church or somewhere else, the wages from that year go into that year's bucket at the Social Security Administration, and they become part of the calculation. When you retire and say, I'm ready to get my benefit, they'll look at the best 35 years of those buckets. So if you work 38 years, they'll knock out the lowest 3, and they'll take your best 35 years. They'll look at that 35-year career average pay, and your Social Security check will be a replacement of some percentage of that career pay. So one of the things you'll see on the website is all of your buckets. You'll see all of those wage amounts from every year that you've ever worked. And you want to look at those, make sure they seem accurate, make sure there's no numbers missing or any obvious errors. Some of you have been around a while, as have I, that you used to get those Social Security statements in the mail. And those showed you the same thing. Right there on page 3 was your earnings history list. It showed you every year that you worked and how much in wages was reported to the Social Security Administration. Those numbers are important to look at to make sure they're correct, because ultimately your benefit will be based on those numbers. Now you just see them online. There are some circumstances you'll still get that statement in the mail. Most of us just go online, register, and we'll see that information. And once we confirm all of that's right, we'll then see a projection of what our benefit is, and we can change the assumptions on those projections. We can decide how long we might work, what pay increases we might get. As you can imagine, all of those variables impact the remaining buckets and the ultimate calculation of your benefit. And from that, you can get a very close estimate of what you might get from Social Security, whether you started at 62, your full age, you wait till 70, or any time in between. So if you click on My Social Security, that'll let you register. You can see what used to be in that Social Security statement. Now it's online. You can also use the retirement estimator you see here, make those assumptions, and get a very good estimate of what your Social Security benefit and your spouse's Social Security benefit could look like if your assumptions hold true. Again, ssa.gov, that's our next action item. If you do nothing else, make sure you visit that site, register, look at your numbers, make sure everything looks correct, and run some projections. Get a better idea of what that benefit might be. You'll see online a statement that looks very similar to this. As you see here for retirement, it says, look, if you take your benefit at your full age, and in this example, your full age is age 67, we think you're going to earn enough to get a benefit every month of $2,291. If you wait until age 70, so you go 3 years without a check, once you start those at age 70, the check will be $2,800. A bigger check, but you had to wait longer to get it. You could also decide to start those checks early at age 62. Age 62 is the earliest for all of us. You'll get more checks, but each check's going to be right around $1,600 a month instead of the 22 or the 28. And again, it shows you those 3 key ages. You can choose any age between 62 and 70, any month, and every month you wait, the check will be just a little bit bigger once you start receiving it. It'll also show you what your surviving spouse and minor age children might receive if you die, and what you might get as a disability benefit. So Social Security is not just about retirement. That's where we focused our time here today, but that statement shows you all of those potential benefits and what you've earned. So the ultimate question is, when do I raise my hand and start receiving that benefit? We know we have an 8-year window to pick any month we choose within it. And that decision is based on a number of factors. The simplest decision is when you need the money. So if I retire truly at age 62 and I have some retirement income, but I've lost my wages, I've lost my job income, I may decide I need the extra income and I have to start Social Security right away, knowing it's a reduced benefit. If I retire from my job at the church at 62 and I take another job just as a hobby and I have a nice income from that, spouse is still working, there's enough income coming in the door, I may not need Social Security just yet and I decide to wait. Again, the longer I wait, the bigger that check will be. But then I look at things like my health history or my family medical history, and I know there's a history of medical conditions that says I may die earlier than the average life expectancy. So I'm not expecting to make it much past 75 or 80. And if that's the case, and you know that, or you expect that, maybe you start your benefit as early as you can, maybe even as early as age 62, just to get those checks for as long as you can. But if conversely, you know your health history, your family history says you're probably going to live a really long time. Historically, your family lives beyond the life expectancy. They make it into their 90s. Well, the longer you can wait, the better, because the longer you wait, the bigger that check will be for as long as you live. So if I wait till 70 and get that bigger check, I have a bigger check every month for as long as I live, all the way into my 80s and 90s if I make it that long. So if I think I'm going to live a long time, maybe I try as best I can to wait and get that bigger check. If I'm worried about dying early, I might start it early, take that check for as soon as I can get it and for as long as I can. Again, when you stop working, when the other income resources stop, matters. Other family member benefits and income matters as well. When do I need the money? How long do I think I'll receive those checks? And what's the right answer for me with the trade-off of starting early versus waiting for that bigger check at a later age? I said it up front, the most valuable part of this workshop occurs in about 5 minutes when we answer questions and then say goodbye. And you decide what, if anything, you'll do with the information that we've learned here today. Certainly think that visiting the Social Security website is important, looking at what other resources might be available to you in retirement to help you with that decision on when you start Social Security is important. Call in the EY Navigate planner line to talk more about your personal situation for Social Security, but more broadly for retirement, should be on that list, or visiting the EY Navigate digital website or app to do some financial planning on your own. Do make sure you revisit the website every year, take a look at an updated version of your statement, get an updated version of your projected benefit from Social Security, and include that in your updated retirement plan. We'll take a look at some of the questions here next, but I do want to ask for your feedback. So while we're looking at questions, if you could take out your phone and send a quick text to the number you see on the screen, and in the text, just write WKSP, which stands for workshop, PBUCC. We're going to send you 2 things back. And this is not a subscription. We'll just send you 1 text back. We'll send you a link to our workshop evaluation so you can tell us your views on today's session if it was valuable. We'll also send you a link directly to the EY Navigate digital website. So if you are excited about this and want to start the planning process right away, you can click on that link, register on the EY Navigate website, and either connect with a financial planner or use some of the online tools right there today, this evening, or this weekend. Travis, I see there's a few questions in the chat. Let me look at those first, and then we can certainly open it up and have folks come off of mute and ask questions directly. So give me just a minute to take a look here. So the first one is my wife plans to start receiving her benefits at age 70. At that time, we want to ask for spousal benefits that may be larger than your own benefits. And that will actually happen automatically, but it's always worth mentioning that you qualify for spousal benefits. So it sounds like right now you, as the husband, are receiving your own Social Security benefit, but when your wife starts receiving benefits at age 70, 50% of that may be bigger than your benefit, and you want to bump up to that bigger spousal benefit. If I'm reading that right, that will happen automatically. But again, when your wife goes to the Social Security Administration, signs up for benefits, again, make it easy for them to look. My husband is receiving benefits. The spousal benefit will be larger. I just want to make sure that that transition will happen, and they'll make sure that paperwork gets pushed through. It's meant to happen automatically, but it always makes it easier if you point it out and make life easy for them. Let's see. Yep. So if you reach your full retirement age, you're collecting Social Security benefits, because why not, right? You reach that 100% amount. And then you take a job. Do you still contribute to Social Security? So again, I think the question is, do I still have to pay that FICA tax? The answer is yes. If you have a wage job, you'll pay this FICA tax no matter what your age, or even if you're receiving Social Security benefit. But remember how the Social Security calculation works. Your benefit is based on replacing an average of your best 35 years of wages. So it's possible that that job you take in retirement, where you're paying the FICA tax, and oddly, at the same time, you're getting a Social Security benefit, if that job and how much you make at that job, if that's one of your best 35 years of pay over your career, that could change the benefit calculation and actually cause your benefit to bump up and increase because of how much you made at the job at that time. So hopefully that makes sense. But again, they always look at your best 35 years of pay over the last 45 years. So if this job in retirement is a really good job and pays well, and that's one of your best 35 years, when that year's over, the calculation is going to recalculate and your benefit will go up. So yes, you'll pay in, but it may benefit you on the other side when you get that Social Security check. And the third question here, looks like we have a couple of them coming in. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, when you start receiving Social Security benefits, more for convenience and to make sure they get their money, if you qualify for Medicare, as most of you will, and Medicare is always at age 65, the Part B premiums that you have to pay for, that premium is taken out of your Social Security check. So if you've qualified for a $2,000 monthly Social Security check and your Medicare premium is $200 a month, then you'll get a check for $1,800 because you got your $2,000, but you paid the Medicare directly through that paycheck or that Social Security check, and then you get the difference. So the question is that amount you paid for Medicare non-taxable? The answer is no, in the way that you're asking it. The full $2,000, which is what you've earned from Social Security, could be subject to tax. It depends on that side calculation that we talked about. But when you go to figure out how much of your Social Security benefit is taxable, and let's say the calculation comes back and says, oh, half of your benefit is going to be taxable, half of that $2,000 would be subject to tax. So you do that side calculation, and whatever percentage is taxable, it applies to the full $2,000 in my example. Think of it this way. You got $2,000 from Social Security. That's your benefit. You happen to use $200 of that to pay your Medicare Part B premium, and you happen to do it seamlessly right through the check, right? You never saw the money, but you still got $2,000 and then paid $200 for the premium. So the full $2,000 is what your benefit was, and that may be subject to an income tax. Again, it depends on how much other income you have. Right. So this question, and Travis, I know we've looked at this before, and the guidance is surprisingly not very good, and unless the PBUCC has found an answer on this. So the question is, as part of my UCC benefit that is non-taxable because of the housing allowance, is that included in the calculation to figure out how much of my Social Security benefit is taxable? And I believe from what we've seen, the answer is no, it's a non-taxable amount. But there is not definitive guidance from what I have found that clearly spells that out and says whether it should be included in that calculation or not. So Travis, I don't know if you as an organization have found anything beyond what we have seen, but we have looked for that, and it's a wonderful question. And there is not clear guidance that we have found that says whether it is or not.
Whether is included in the provisional income?
Correct, exactly right. Generally speaking, provisional income is all of your taxable income, of course. It also, by the way, includes half of your Social Security benefit. They throw that into that calculation. There are some non-taxable things that are included. Some municipal bonds that normally would not be taxed. They're part of that calculation. Let's put it this way, Dave. There's nothing that says that it is included, but it is simply not mentioned in that calculation in the tax code, unfortunately. And I think a lot of folks have taken the position that it is a non-taxable amount. It's not included, but there is not definitive guidance either way to say whether you include that in the calculation or not. So Travis, if you find more, we'll make a note of that question. And
I'm going to look into that
a
little bit further, Dan. I'm curious about that. And if I could find anything, I'll update. I'll get back to. We have an attendance list.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's been a couple of years since we've looked at that. I'll check with our tax guys to see if anything more has come out. Again, Dave, it's a fantastic question and really shows you understand the calculation very well. It's just one of those things that maybe it's so specific to the clergy population, it just was not addressed in that provision where they explain how you do that calculation. Okay, and let's
Good question.
See, looks like we have a few more that have come in. Okay, so so Sandy, I'm going to double check this one, but I'm quite sure I have this one right. Let me just see if I have it here, and I'll explain the question. I just want to make sure I get that right. So Sandy, if I have it right, your question is, my wife's going to get 50% of my benefit as a spousal benefit. Can it be 50% of my age 70 benefit? In other words, I waited till 70 to get that enhanced benefit, that extra benefit by waiting. Is the spousal benefit 50% of that, or is it limited to 50% of just my regular full retirement age, which for you is 66 and 2 months? And I believe that answer is it's just the 66 and 2 months. It's just 50% of the full retirement benefit.
That's what I thought.
So you can wait and get the bigger benefit, but then yeah, your wife would get 50% still, but of that regular amount, not the expanded amount. So still benefits you waiting because you'll get a bigger 132% check, right? But then the 50% is limited. Yep. And yeah, I'm sure that is the answer. Let's see if this one is different. Yeah, so if my wife starts receiving a benefit before I do, and then when I start, can she switch to getting half of my benefit once I start receiving my own benefit? And the answer is yes. So if you've earned your own benefit, you can start as early as 62, regardless of anything else. If you have a spouse that then starts their benefit and half their benefit is better, you can switch to that better benefit. Absolutely. Good question. We have a few more. So this is, I tell you, Social Security is our most popular topic, and it's usually where the most questions come from.
Yeah.
Let me just read this one. It's a little longer. Let's see. So I'm going to read this out loud and make sure I can digest it. My spouse is older and already receiving Social Security, and it's a significantly higher amount than what I'll get when I start receiving my own benefit. Given this, would it make sense for me to start receiving my benefit at 62, given the likelihood might outlive my spouse, and then I'll receive their benefit. So you're thinking about it right. Again, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you say, look, the bigger benefit is with the spouse. So while we're both alive, we get that big check, and then I've got mine, which is a smaller number. And if I outlive my spouse, they pass away first, I'm going to bump up to their check as a survivor benefit. And you've got that right. That's exactly what's going to happen. So I'll say it this way, which I think is kind of how you're asking it. Taking my smaller check early just to have some extra income in the household might not be a bad idea. Doesn't hurt me because we still have the bigger spousal check. And if spouse dies first, I'll bump up to their check anyway. So it may not be, I may not be stuck at that smaller check for the rest of my lifetime anyway. You're thinking about that right. And those are some of the difficulties and considerations that go into the decision. So that may be an opportunity for you to go ahead and take the smaller check as early as you can get it. It's extra money. Start it now. Who knows what's going to happen, because you know that bigger check will always be there, right? It's there now while you're both alive, and it'll be there if spouse dies first, because you'll bump up to that bigger check as a survivor check. So I'll just say this, your thinking is exactly right. Last question, Ruth, my spouse. Let's see. So spouse and I are already receiving Social Security. Can I still get the spousal benefit? I'm not sure I know enough to answer that, but I'll say this. You're always entitled to, and will always automatically get the bigger of your own benefit. If you have a work history, you've paid the FICA tax for at least 10 years, generally what you need to do, you'll get the bigger of what you earned based on that, or 50% of what your spouse is receiving based on their work history and what they've earned. And again, that happens automatically. So you're 84 and 73 right now. So you're both already receiving a benefit. You should automatically be receiving the bigger of those two on both sides. If for some reason you think you're not, then I would immediately contact the Social Security Administration. If you both signed up and you're getting your own benefit, but your benefit, let's say, is not that big, half of your spouse's benefit would be bigger, and you're not seeing that check, that's what it should be. That's a reason to call the Social Security Administration. They may even go back and correct that. So simple rule for each spouse, you get the bigger of the two, your benefit that you've earned, or half of what your spouse is receiving. And that works both ways. So again, if you're not seeing that, then give them a call. Okay. Travis, looks like that might be the last one.
Yeah.
Happy to take any verbal questions. But that may have been all of them. So I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dan. Really great questions. Thank you so much for everyone for asking those questions. There's one item for me to research. I'll do that, and if I get an answer, I'll send an email to the entire list of participants here. But if there's nothing further, again, thank you so much for your time. A recording of the presentation will be available shortly, and we'll send that out, a link to that by email. So thank you again, and have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Take care.